Welcome to Build Business Acumen podcast. Obviously, this is a video that we're doing here for the people who are watching on video, but today I'm joined by the king of subconscious skills for success. Want to be more successful? Supercharge your confidence, influence, presence using your natural sub skills. Jonathan Chase, I've had the pleasure to meet and have a good conversation with, and I'm really quite excited because we're faced with a new year now, and so many people are like, yeah, New Year's resolutions and all this kind of stuff. But if they don't get their subconscious skills in place, right, that's going to just mess it all up, isn't it, John?
Well, if they're thinking that way, they're probably messed up anyway. You know, I mean, oh, come on. I've had 63 damn New Years, you know, and each one's been different from the last, you know, but better. It's very subjective, isn't it? You know, you say, Happy New Year. You know, if we were Chinese, it wouldn't even be New Year yet. You know, it's, and the ancient Romans, it was the 21st of December, and then, yeah, you know, I don't know. I'm too much of a pragmatist to go in for that. You know, it's
So for the people though that want to achieve things, right, and they want to get somewhere, being clear on what they actually want to achieve is really important, isn't it? And I was talking to you a little bit earlier off camera about, you know, what I want to achieve, where I want to be, etc., etc. And it's quite an interesting sort of topic, isn't it? Because I'm not completely clear about where I want to be, and I panic. I panic because I'm not completely 100% clear of what I want to achieve, and then that causes me a turmoil, which, like you were saying off camera, creates inactivity for all of the big things that should really help me to get where I should be going, right?
one of the biggest problem that people have when they come to me for coaching, and we talked about this when we did meet up before, but, you know, one of the biggest problems is they don't know what they want, you know, and what you want is different from goals. Think more intention than goal setting. You know, I'm having an intention. I'm setting up an intention. It's my intention to. I had an intention to get my showbiz career as far as I could on live stage. I had the opportunity to do some television and that sort of thing, and I actually didn't like it because it's not real. You know, the audiences are all set up beforehand. They're told when to applaud, when not to applaud. You're told to speak, when not to speak. You know, anybody who thinks they're actually watching a live show and live, unless it's actually live on television, it's ridiculous. You know what goes on to make that good TV. So I wanted to get to the top of what I figured was the top of the tree as far as I was concerned in show business. Now, for me, I've done Blackpool, you know, which is which in the United Kingdom, I mean, come on, it's a sad version of Las Vegas, but, you know, it's like I've done Blackpool. And the next step was the West End, and I headlined at the Starlight Club in Shaftesbury Avenue. You can't get any more West End. And for me, it was Vegas, and an opportunity came up to go and speak at a conference. And I said, will there be a show? No. Well, we could do a show. So we arranged that. And, you know, I did a stage in Vegas. Wow. You know, and that was all done by intention. It wasn't exactly what I wanted. It wasn't a smart goal. It was an intention to get as far as I could. And then opportunities came. I could subconsciously then allow my subconscious mind to say, yeah, that feels good. No, that doesn't feel bad. And I followed my heart. And, you know, you find that the people who are really successful follow their heart slightly before their head. You know, I like what Richard Branson says. You know, first question he asks is, will this be fun? Then he says, screw it, let's do it. Yeah.
Right.
But he
Right.
asks, will it be fun first? Will it be enjoyable? Will it be,
Yeah.
And one of the problems that you get in your head when you're thinking about business is, will it be achievable? Will it be achievable? Is it the right thing to do? I've got other people in my life. Should I take that opportunity? Should I not take an opportunity? And let's face it, life's a series of opportunities. You either don't take, you miss, or you take them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the biggest problem, isn't it? I mean, like on LinkedIn and social media, we just get approached by every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and they come and they're like, "Yeah, you got to sell my product with me, and we can make a business." And you sort of you take all these opportunities on when you're a bit thick, thin between the ears, should I say, not thick, thin between the ears, inexperienced, and then one day you wake up and you say, "Oh dear, that was a mistake," and I suppose it goes back to the kind of, you either learn or you win, and you win both ways, don't you? Because you had fun and you came out of that with more skills than you had before you started. But I was sort of talking to you a bit about where I'm at earlier, and you said I should go back to this amazing book that you were so kind to give me when I met you down at your house last year, and I went through the exercise in there, and it's absolutely fantastic, and I'm going to take the 2 or 3 hours to go through it again. I know I'm a little bit late as far as the new year, people talking about productivity and all this stuff, but the fact is, all of that's ridiculous if you don't know where you're heading, right? Because you need a destination.
It's ridiculous if you don't know what you want. What do you want? People come to me for success coaching and they say, I want to be more successful. And you say, okay, what do you want? I want a Ferrari. Now that's a thing. What do you want? I want a house. And then they start putting a question mark at the end of it, because they're looking for verification from me on what they want.
Right.
So then what we do, we get them to go through a simple subconscious exercise where we ask the subconscious mind what they want.
Okay.
And then when you find out what your subconscious mind... Well, the thing is, in a moment, in the back of your head, you've got your subconscious mind. And it's a little bit like a child riding in the back seat, because it keeps saying, are we there yet? But if you don't tell it where it's going, it doesn't bloody know. And you can't say, yes, we're there. Right. Because it doesn't know. So it gets bored and it says, is that a rabbit? Is that a rabbit? Can I have a rabbit? Can we have some ice cream? I think I'm going to be sick. I need a pee. Are we there yet?
Mine does do. I do have that problem.
I know. Everybody does. I do. People seem to think that I'm in total control of my subconscious mind. Are you kidding? Nobody is. Nobody's totally in control of their subconscious mind. That's a robot. Yeah. I mean, I hear a lot now. You're not allowed to say thick, by the way. You're not allowed to say stupid anymore. Nobody is just dim anymore. Now they have mental health problems.
Oh, don't start me off on that, John.
And
we're not going down that.
Yeah, I mean, I was thick at school, and I'm thick now. People say, "Oh no, you're very clever." Well, that depends on whose rules you're using to verify that. But really seriously, if the subconscious and the conscious very often work together, and when they work together, that's magic, because when they're both going in the same direction, you haven't got any conflict. As soon as you get one going off in the one direction, one going off in the other, it's a little bit like, I remember my son James refusing to go down a particular aisle in Tesco's.
Right.
He did not want to go down there because there was green vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And he did not want to go down there. He didn't want his mum to buy vegetables. He couldn't understand. He was about 4. So she did what every careful, loving parent does, got down on one knee and explained to him why he needed. No, she did what every parent does. She grabbed him by the hand and dragged him screaming down that aisle. And the problem is that if you don't know where your subconscious mind wants to go, and you haven't persuaded the subconscious mind that where the best place is, because you're not clear on what that is anyway, Yeah. Then you get a conflict. Now that conflict's called stress, and that stress invades every single thing you do.
Yeah.
Everything. The way you talk to people, that phone call you've got to make. If you're stressed when you're doing that, it's in there.
Yeah.
And because human beings have a telepathy, the people call it rapport and modeling and all sorts of things. But if I was in a really, really crap mood now, you would know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you would know.
Well,
You would sense it.
I agree. I agree. I actually, if I feel like that, I don't speak to anyone anymore. I don't speak to anyone. I don't talk to anyone. You called me up once. I remember I was in a bad mood, and you kind of helped me to get out of that mood I was in. You know, but yeah,
but I remember that phone call. If you remember, I picked the phone up, and we talked for about 3.5 seconds, and I said, "What's up?"
Yeah, straight away, because you know me well enough to know that I'm not.
No, I can.
Like
I can. You can do that. Look, have you ever walked into a pub, looked around, and walked out again?
Yeah.
And thought, I don't like the atmosphere in that place. That is not a good place to be. It's going to kick off in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you walked into your best friend's house or a complete stranger's house for that matter, going to a party or something like that, and you know they've just had the row?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's in. They're all smiles and everything, but it's a telepathy that human beings have. You want to look up the work of a guy called Paul Ekman, Dr. Paul Ekman, and micro expressions and stuff like that, because we give away tiny little clues all the time, even in the tone of our voice, everything.
My dad actually lent me this book the other day, A Field Guide to Human Behaviour.
Yeah,
and
it's a little dated. That one of the problems is that's the conscious mind trying to make sense of the subconscious.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Now, what we teach people is how to use their subconscious and allow it to do what it's good at,
right,
without actually doing anything.
Can I ask you something about that? Yeah. You know, a lot of people, they say like, you only use 95%, sorry, you only use 5% of your brain and this and that. Can you shed some light around that? Because I still don't know what the real facts are, science-wise.
Right. Where is this podcast actually going to be pasted? Is it going on iTunes?
Business Acumen site. iTunes.
Right. Will it go on iTunes? Yeah.
Yeah, iTunes, Spotify.
Right, okay. Well, I'm just choosing my language here because,
Oh, no, it's all right.
It's very easy to get an E next to
I put it in a
podcast.
You can swear, John, look, you can say F off if you really want, but I don't encourage it.
Right, okay.
So I've got my little prop.
Ask me that question again then. Ask me that question again.
So what was the question?
Oh, come on.
No, I'm kidding. So...
I've forgotten. That's what it was.
No, I'm kidding. So the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, right? A lot of, I've heard, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago when I was in school, I heard people say that you only use 5% of your brain consciously, right? So that's not really true, is it?
It's not actually what you asked. You said that we only use 5% of our brain.
Yeah.
Bollocks.
Okay.
Complete, nutter, total tush.
Yeah.
Rubbish.
My show has an R rating.
Rubbish. Absolutely, totally rubbish.
Okay.
That's like saying you only use 5% of your liver.
All right. So
the brain's an organ.
Mm-hmm.
If it's working and alive, it's working and alive. If it's at rest, like most of your organs are, you know, at certain points during the circadian rhythms, during the time, it's not doing much, but it's still all turned on.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Now, as far as we can tell, the subconscious mind is based around the limbic system, which is like the little brain inside a brain. It's a brain that chimpanzees and bonobos and, gorillas and all the great apes have. And, and around that is the cerebral cortex. Now, if you take that, and it's not exact, this is not exact science, for God's sake, you know, because, I mean, if you read a paper on neurology, it's so full of terms like, therefore, we evaluate that, you know, and then you find that they're actually talking about mice, not human beings, you know. But now, honest to God, don't get me started on the.
I stopped drinking.
You know the one. You know the one. You know the one.
I had this bottle of rum arrive earlier.
All right.
And it's becoming a lot more attractive after talking with you, John.
Yeah, you should just give up and commit suicide. I mean, I don't.
No.
But
so
it's.
What's the deal with
right? That's wrong. It's just wrong. Yeah, there are times where you are using your brain more actively, and times when it's quite passive and at rest. But that's in exactly the same way as your bicep. You know, if I do that, my biceps. You know, intensed. If I do that, my biceps relaxed. Yeah, but your brain's like that constantly and consistently all the time, and all the bits are working and like that. And when we're talking about subconscious and conscious, we're talking in metaphor, because what a thought actually looks like is really messy, not much blood, a little bit slimy and grey. Yeah, because that's what a brain looks like.
Right.
You know, and if you look at a brain without all the CAT scans and everything else, you won't actually see anything happening.
Right. Okay.
You know, not unless you get right down to electromagnetic levels. You know, you don't see anything happening. Yeah. So we're speaking in metaphors. We're talking in metaphors. You know, the thing is, with the subconscious, it's a process that we know is occurring. And we know it's happening, and we know that when that process takes over and enters a state that we can call, say, hypnosis or something like that, or trance, or whatever you want to call it, you know, because none of them are really accurate. But we know that when the subconscious mind takes over, you do stuff that 5 minutes later, your conscious mind thinks, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, did I say that?
Yeah.
Did I think that? Did I feel that? And you go, well, yeah, I do feel that, but I'm not going to let them know. You know, why not? Because my conscious, you know, there's this old complete myth in psychotherapy that the conscious is there to protect the subconscious mind from the world. You've only got to go to any British town on a Saturday night at about 11:30 and see all these subconscious minds that have been freed of the conscious by alcohol, because that's what happens. Being bright 9-year-old children, yeah, right. But also fired up by alcohol, but being in an adult body that can hit hard. And you see what happens when the conscious mind isn't protecting the world from the subconscious.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because that's the job of the conscious. The job of the conscious is to make you socially acceptable. And it grows, it starts growing at about the age of 9.5, when it starts maturing, not growing, but maturing at the age of 9.5, when you start to really want to fit in with society, and you start to fit in with society. So, and then it subdues your subconscious. Up until then, you know, a kid can imagine anything and experience that reality. You know, I mean, that, you know, when a child, when an infant is talking to their imaginary friend, they're not. They're talking to a real person. It's really there.
Right.
You know, 100% reality as far as they're concerned. We won't get into the metaphysics because that just starts getting a bit messy. But at a pragmatic level, they are really there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the problem where you find yourself right now is you're in a transitory period as far as you know, where to live, what to do, you know, finances and everything else is concerned, but you don't know what your subconscious mind wants. And to find out what your subconscious mind wants is a simple little thing. Go back to when you were 9.5. What did you want then?
Fun.
What did you want then?
Fun, John. Generally wanted
Besides fun, what did you want?
Naughty, John. I just wanted to do things that other people didn't want me to do, and I still do that. I'm a bit of a maverick, really, and that's it. That's me, you know.
Right. So you say then, right? Okay. If I was having a perfect day, yeah, with no stress, no conflict between my conscious and my subconscious, because that's what stress is. You know.
Yeah, you sort of feel it, don't you?
To actually get it down to mechanics, if there's a conflict between one part of the organ
Hello?
in line with each other, you get stress. Oh, we give it loads of. Oh my God! I mean, when I was nursing in the 1970s, because I'm very, very old, you know, we didn't have things like we had a bit sad or a bit depressed, you know. And now we've got anxiety, and we've got 57 million states of anxiety.
Right.
Oh, good Lord, you know.
Yeah, and that's created
psychotherapy's
more.
got a lot to blame for that, you know.
Created more of it, hasn't it? Because the more you look for it, the more you don't just drop everything to do something you enjoy doing, right? I mean,
syndromes everywhere. Everybody's got a syndrome, you know. And I mean, when I don't know about you, but when I was at school, do you know what they actually had? I was in the C stream, and there were 3 streams below me, yeah, and there's 2 above me.
Right.
A, B, and C were sort of like cleverish people.
Okay.
You know, A were probably going to go on and do O levels, and so were the B stream. The C stream were tended to be clever enough to like be in the chess club, but they also tended to be the best footballers and the best, you know. Right. That's why they kept them in the C stream. And D, E, and F in those days were taught gardening and metalwork,
right,
and woodwork, because they were going to go out and they were going to be, you know. And it was okay to be a bit thick. It was okay that this brain here wasn't wired to do tasks that another brain was wired to do. Yeah, you know. Yeah. But now, of course, we've got this strange phenomenon where everybody is supposed to be wired exactly the same.
Well, John, that's not the
major clever as everybody else, and that just isn't true.
But John, the major problem is everyone thinks they can start the next eBay or the next PayPal, and then so everyone's aspirations of building a massive company and then selling it for billions and becoming a billionaire are so clearly attainable by everyone. And that has actually created a complete depression with people who create, firstly, unrealistic goals for themselves. Secondly, try to achieve those unrealistic goals and fail. And that's the biggest issue I see.
Oh, but there's no such thing as failure.
Well, I know. That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Have you ever talked to anybody who's got no home and sleeping rough on the street?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, there are such things as failure. Trust me.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm actively involved with some people in that space. We're doing a lot within the local city to help people who are in that place, and it's very unpleasant to see, and it damages them, you know, a lot, really. So in terms of like goal setting, yeah. So right now I'm going through divorce. My daughter lives with her mum. I live about 40 minutes away, but the other part of me is like, okay, well, that's all going on. Sure. I moved closer to be closer to my daughter and my dad and my mum. But then there's the selfish part of me, maybe not selfish, maybe self-preservation is two words I'm looking for, is thinking, well, actually, I'd probably like to go and live somewhere else. And I was saying to you earlier, I think I want to go back and live in Spain because I just came back from there last year, and or year before. And you said it was too focused. It was too specific location wise, because it would mess up the kind of intention. That's what
it doesn't need to be that intent. You say, well, look, I'm fed up of looking out of my window and seeing grey clouds and wet fields and dripping trees. Actually, I've got a lovely view out of it. I don't mind that,
Right.
But
I don't mind.
I'd like to open my window. I'd like to open my window on the vast majority of my time. I'd like to open it onto a vista where I can, I don't know, see a sea, see a lake, see a hill, see sun, see this, see the and it's okay being specific in that detail. But if you say Spain and an offer comes for you to go and live in Greece or Turkey or somewhere like that, where you would have exactly the same thing, your mind goes, it's not what I want.
Yeah. So what about in terms of like professional things? So owning shares in a business, starting a business, getting a new job, these kind of things.
What the how-tos?
What about those? What's that, John?
Yeah, the how-tos.
Yeah.
I want to be rich. How do you get that? Yeah, well, you get somebody to give you some money.
Yeah, all right. But where does that...
So there's got to be an exchange. So what do I give them? Well, I'll give them something they need or want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But where does that fit in?
What is that? And should I do shares and stuff? Yeah, why not? People very often say to me, John, why aren't you a millionaire? I don't want to. I don't need to be.
Yeah, you said this to me.
I don't need to be a millionaire. I've got everything I want. You've been in our...
It's a nice place.
2-story, huge, great big house. We've got a sea view out the back there. Probably move in a year or two because we're beginning to rattle about. As you get older, you sort of think, well, maybe a smaller place.
Yeah.
But
it's your definition.
I live near the English Riviera. I'm happy. mean, if you looked at my council house background, where we've got 3 bedrooms and four boys, I slept in the same bed as my brother till I was 11.
Wow.
Because like my mum and dad hadn't thought about bunk beds, but then we begged them to get bunk beds and we got bunk beds. Because he was 5 years older than me, going to bed with an 11-year-old when you're 15, it's been really embarrassing.
Yeah, fair enough. So,
because he used to say, don't tell anybody,
Yeah, but that's down to the individual, isn't it? It's what their definition of success is. I mean, I've got a friend who's got 3 airplanes and a massive yacht, and his definition of success is just owning your own house and not having to worry. So, but that's an individual kind of goal, isn't it? It's an individual goal. It's like you want to own a house.
Yeah, but I've got to interrupt, because what you were asking me was, what about the bits to get what I want? What do you want?
Well, I don't know. That's the thing.
Well, you can't have it then, can you?
Well, that's the thing. But because how?
When you get it,
I'm quite.
You might even have it. You might even have it. Look. Sit down with a piece of paper. Draw a line down the centre. You've heard this before. Draw a line down the centre.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then hit your head on the desk 5 times.
All right.
Right. Yeah. What will that achieve? A headache. Now, it's.
You're going to call me Nick again?
The thing is, what you've got to do, you've got to find out what you want. What do you really, really want?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you've got a daughter.
Yeah.
What do you want for your daughter?
Well, I don't want her to have to worry about her future. Want her to go to good schools. Want her to Be happy, really. It's about being happy.
You know, I have never asked a parent that question, or anybody, anything to do with children, that question, and not got exactly the same answer. I want them to be happy. So the answer to the question, what do I want, is what will make me happy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what will make you happy?
I don't know. That's why I'm going to sit down with a piece of paper. I won't be drinking that rum though. That's not going to make me happy. Not the next morning, anyway. But I think, there are a number. There are a number of things that people need to think about in terms of them being happy, right? For me, you know, there are some non-negotiables. It's like a nice, clean place to live, space to do Tai Chi. What else is there? Close to a town. Friendly people, be part of a community. Let me see what else. I think those are the fundamentals of it, really. That's my personal and fulfillment at work, like enjoying what you're doing at work. That is part of it. I mean, you said that's a way of getting to where you want to get to. But that's actually, if you love what you do, like you clearly love what you do, because you always smile about it when we're talking about it, you know, and that's certainly, you know, very, very relevant to it as well, really. And great friends, you know, time with family, but not too much time. Not to be taken for granted, I suppose, is another good thing in life. To make you happy. What else? Am I leaving anything out? Oh, and travel. Travel is a big thing for me. You know, I was so happy when I went out to Las Vegas. IBM took me to Las Vegas, like in 2017. I was just buzzing, and I went to Wimbledon with them and like stuff like that. And I just love going places and doing things. Like, I think I'm just hyperactive. Maybe that's it. You know.
You done?
Yeah.
When you're finished, get this video and write all those down on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And tick off the ones you've got.
Yeah.
And then you'll find the ones you haven't got.
Yeah.
And then your subconscious mind will start then looking around for things that you can do. Yeah. That will move you towards what you haven't got. Yeah. Now, if you start doing that consciously, the problem with starting doing that consciously is your conscious mind has to judge everything.
Yes.
Yeah, it can't jump with 2 feet.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't got your mind style. I know you've done your mind styling with this. I haven't got it to hand. So
I think I'm a debater.
I can't.
You know, I am. I'm a debater, and it made me laugh because you're so spot on. I will argue exactly the opposite. I will go, someone will say to me, oh, I believe that this is red. And I'll be like, no, it's not, it's green. And I will do that until I've kicked that idea around so many times that I actually know why it's green or why it's red or why it isn't, you see. And that's me.
Hang on, just let me go. Yeah. Because you should be.
So you're breaking this down into personality types, right? Aren't you? I mean, that you've got your.
It's our mind style types, you know. I mean, personality. Your personality is a whole group of things.
Right, it's a different thing. So mind style.
Basically, you're a creator. You're a creator with a strong performer. So you'll dream about something. You'll get that in your head. You do tend to take action on that. Whether that's exactly the right action every time, but you do tend to take action.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main problem, John, is actually distractions with a lot of people and not being completely organised. And that's why I tell you what I did, right? You might laugh at me, but I went back to the old school and I actually bought a file of facts. It was 20% off, which made me smile. I actually bought a file of facts, right? And
I went to a new school and brought an iPad.
Well, that's fine. But
What are you doing with a file of facts?
I really enjoy writing. My handwriting was becoming appalling, so I've got a nice fountain pen, and I'm really enjoying that. Yeah, because the system that I've got in here aligns really well with my digital organizing. Yeah, because it's about having, for me, it's like high level plan, which is the file of facts, and day-to-day meetings. Because if someone steals your details and destroys your Gmail and your calendar and everything else, you're in big trouble. So I write down every meeting religiously in here, and that works for me, right? But that is a big problem, being distracted. And I think, is it about just, I mean, that, how on earth do you avoid being distracted?
I think it depends. I don't avoid being distracted. I am the most. I couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery. I'm the most disorganised person in the world. You know, I mean, I turn up usually on the day that we, you know, round about the daytime that we've set an appointment for. I mean, you rang me and I said, "Oh yeah, I had an appointment with Nick." I didn't.
Yeah,
I've forgotten all about it.
That's so funny.
I'm speaking at an expo in London in 6 weeks' time, and I'm doing a script for it and everything. So I got into that, and I was tucked into that, you know. And the appointment that we got is actually now a distraction to that. Do you understand me? If I look at it from one viewpoint, and distractions and everything are very viewpointical. Now, I know that people have said to me time and time again, you know, "Oh, you can't do well in business unless you're very, very focused, unless, you know, you've set all your goals down and you've done this and you've done that and you've done that."
Right.
Okay, right. And for certain people who are strong evaluators, say, and strong predictors, I would agree with that 100%. But for somebody who's creative like you, I say that's a load of tosh. Get a virtual assistant, man, not a file of facts. Yeah? Because every time you pick that file of facts up and you think, right, okay, I'll jot this down and I'll jot that down, and it's destroying your soul.
I enjoy it, John. I'm enjoying that, but it's not about.
You're enjoying it now. You're enjoying it now, but will you be enjoying it in 12 months' time?
Oh well, I can change. I don't mind changing. I have a complete open brain to changing. I'm totally, but the techniques I've been using are really useful. What I've been doing is I've been turning off all distraction. So if I've got something I need to work on, like a project-based thing, it'll be 52-minute working session. 52 minutes of a sprint to achieve something within my working day, and then a 17-minute break, and then I will go on to the next task. And that's my challenge, is actually just not allowing distractions to get into those, to do more of that, because that's working. Yeah. And less of the random kind of, oh, I'm doing this, and oh, there's a notification, and oh, I'm on social media, and do you know what I mean? And I admit there is a point, there is a place to being distracted, but that's for a virtual assistant. Personally, is what I think the virtual assistant is the person that should be distracted. I'm the one that should actually be focused and getting on with the task. That's my personal opinion for my where I'm at right now, work-wise.
And is that working for you?
It is when I do it. So I need to do more of it.
I've never heard that before. Nobody has ever said that to me before.
What do you mean?
Is that working for you? Yes, when I do it.
You lie.
Okay, right. Now, that's a prevarication. It's a prevarication from thinking.
You're provoking me to think.
And look, now I'm provoking you to look at Nick. Nat. Nick?
You always call me Nick. You make me laugh. I remember the first time you called me Nick. you touched me on the arm and you called me Nick, and we had a right laugh. And ever since then, every time you call me Nick, I just laugh. I can't help it. It cracks me up.
Yeah, that's because I've anchored that.
I know you have, John.
But
I read your book,
still,
and I listened to your DVD. I watched your DVDs. Hypnosis installed. It was very interesting.
yeah, that's yes. Paul McKenna said that it was a brilliantly put together package.
I know.
He was only looking at the box.
John. Anyone?
He'd not seen the DVD. He was just looking at the box.
See, John,
that's a great quote.
Going back to your roots is what impresses me the most. Any man that can stand up on a stage, right, in front of minors, who are in essence waiting to play.
Hang on. We're talking coal miners, because most American hypnotists start off with schools.
So back in the day,
they're doing it in front of miners all the time.
So let me set the scene. Yeah, back in the day, this is when Margaret Thatcher was in power, right? Is that correct? And the coal mines were just about to be closed, or they were being closed at the time, or was that?
They were getting it. It was, the industry had collapsed. Yeah.
Right. So what was happening was these coal miners were going to play bingo, and you, for some unknown reason, decided.
No.
No. Do you want to tell the story then?
The wives played bingo. The miners sat there drunk and were very, very quiet while there was two houses of bingo, because, they didn't dare say a word.
Right. And you managed to stand up on stage and get these guys to queue up to be hypnotized on stage, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. That's very impressive. You need to tell more people about that.
Well, you had to get round the folded arms, and the attitude was, go on, I've been in a hole in the ground for 7.5 hours a day for 5 days a week. Entertain me, you bugger.
Yeah.
And that was a good way of learning to. I'll say. Can I say the M word?
Yeah, if you want.
Okay. Manipulate the audience,
Yeah.
So,
no, it's all right. Like people people don't get manipulated on my podcast, or my show. Like, they just listen to the content. If they don't like it, they don't like it. I had a lady from Cisco yesterday who I messaged her and said, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. She said, I haven't listened to your podcast yet this year because I've just come back to work. And I couldn't believe it. She said, my podcast is one of the 3 podcasts she listens to in the world, right? The other 2 are music-based podcasts. And mine is the only one on business and technology and this kind of stuff. And I was like, what? And she's just been promoted. She works in the Chief Operations Officer's office on projects, senior communications executive. I was just like, wow, it's really great when people actually reach out and say something you said to them or something you gave them really helped them, And what you said to me about my ideal clients when I came down to see you, and you said, no, don't think about this. Tell me now. Who are they? And you made me really just use the subconscious to tell you who my ideal clients were. And they were all around me. That was what was so amazing. They already existed. I don't need to go any further because my network's big enough that they're already there. But I was looking for them and they were already there. It was just bizarre.
No, not really. Look, the way the reticular activation system works, and there's so much misunderstanding about this thing. But inside your brain, you've got a system called the reticular activation system. Its job is actually to get you to sleep at night. And what it does is it actually turns off brain responses. Yeah. So so that you don't respond to the cat meowing outside your window. You don't respond to the car lights going past your house. You know, this is how people learn to sleep.
Right.
I mean, I had a flat once after I got divorced for the second time. I had a flat right on the main A5 road in Cannock in Staffordshire.
Wow.
It was 24/7, 365 nose to tail traffic, you know. And did I sleep? Yes, I slept thanks to my reticular activation system, which checks to see if it's got a pattern for that. That's okay, we'll forget it. Yeah.
Right.
Now, the problem is with people, with places and everything else, is that when you say, what do I want? And you write a big list down, like you've just said, and you start ticking off, what have I got? Very often I find that people have got most of what they've ticked them off, and they've gone, hey, just a minute,
Right.
I forgot about that.
Right.
I don't need it. But your reticular activation system to move you forward and to keep you going. And people do this in business a lot. They think they've got to do something new.
Right.
They think that growth is about doing something new, you know, and I love that growth thing in business, you know, especially when you see an image of a tree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can plant an oak tree in the middle of a field.
Yeah.
And it will grow to a certain height. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it will have a spread of certain branches. Yeah. Now, people say, oh, yeah, but it grows and it grows and it grows. Hang on a minute. The largest oak tree ever recorded, I don't know, was something like 27, 28 meters high or something. It wasn't even close to that. It's something like 4 meters high, 5 meters high. Because oak trees, no matter where you put them, don't grow pretty much any higher than that. Mm-hmm. And they spread out and branches drop off and grow old and they grow new ones and stuff like that. But that tree is not growing any bigger than the area it's in. Yeah. You know, it doesn't need to. It just needs to continue. And I always say to people when they say to me, Jonathan, I've lost motivation. It's not about motivating yourself. Think what the word means, motion. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's about moving, but you can move and stay in a fairly small circle. Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm in a wheelchair, for God's sake, and I exercise. Yeah. But believe me, I don't run very far. I don't need to move very far to do some exercises. I tend to stay where I am. Yeah. And then jiggle about a bit. You know, you don't want to see it. Believe me, you do not want it. It's not a sight you wouldn't want to see twice. But the thing is, one of the exercises that we do with people in subconscious skills, in little skills that we've got to recognize what we've got and the value of that, is to actually write down what we want. And once we start to write down what we want, we think, well, actually, do I need 20 friends or do I need the 3 I've got that I know would, I'll tell you what, would your friends come and visit you in hospital?
Some, yeah.
Yeah? Would they turn up at your funeral?
Yeah.
Would they offer assistance to your family if you were sick or ill or whatever? You know, and when you start, when you start to think about that, you start to think, well, actually, I've got 3 or 4 friends that would do that I can rely on, I can trust, and I know that would back me up. And then you sort of think, well, do I need any more?
Yeah, but John, what about Anthony Robbins and all these success trainers? And they talk about like upping your expectations and this kind of stuff.
Oh, you mean the people who do the same thing over and over and over again and keep doing it like for the last 35 years? Robbins has been saying, take dramatic action.
Yeah,
and
up your expectations.
Every year, and he does the firewalk every year, and he goes out on the audience and claps those huge, great big plates of hands. Got and smiles his horse.
And takes a lot of money off the audience.
Yeah, because he's comfortable doing what he's doing. He's in his comfort zone. and he's quite comfortable in
Yeah, but
doing.
what I'm saying. So what about when he says to people, change your expectations? Like, if you think you're happy, you're unhappy now. So how are you going to become really happy? Well, you're going to up your expectations, is what he says, doesn't it? In those kind of people.
Yeah, because basically he's talking to people who are saying, I'm unhappy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you've got to change something. Now, we've all got different ways of doing that. We've all got different models of doing that. I mean,
Right.
I will tell you, you should be in your comfort zone. You should never leave it, because if you're uncomfortable, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah,
That's
but
not
if
in
that
line
if
with the way you're.
but if that comfort zone is being uncomfortable, that is your
That's
comfort.
bollocks.
No?
That's complete and utter bollocks. That's the
Okay.
conscious mind coming up with an excuse for being in a society you can't work in, yeah, and you can't be in. That's and it's happened time and time and time again, where people have said, right, okay, I'm unhappy in this situation, but I'll come up with an excuse, with a cognitive excuse. That's the reticular activation system. Yeah, I will get used to this so much that it doesn't hurt anymore. Yeah, I mean, lots of people with neuromuscular conditions will tell you that you can get used to pain to the point where the pain's still there, but you don't let it bother you anymore. Yeah, simply because you've got used to it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that's an excuse. But the conscious mind is always trying to excuse the fact that the subconscious mind's unhappy. But I tell you what, if subconscious mind's unhappy, then even those conscious decisions are wrong.
So then making it happy, let's wrap it up. So then making the subconscious mind happy, right, is about listening to it and asking it what it wants. Is that right? And then helping it.
How old is your daughter?
Pun?
How old is your daughter?
7.
7. So before Christmas, did Daddy say to his daughter, what do you want Santa to bring you?
No.
No? Because you were observing her.
No,
so
I wasn't there. I don't see her that often, unfortunately.
You don't see her at all? Okay.
No, I do see her, but not as often as I would like.
Okay, but you didn't like buy her a complete works of Shakespeare, did you?
No. I got her a few.
Right.
I got her a few things. I bet
you got her a few things that little girls like, and that you hoped your little girl would like. Yeah, right. Yeah. So because you don't want to make your little girl unhappy by telling her she can't have this, she can't have that, and she can't have this. Right? Your subconscious mind is a bright 9-year-old child. At about the age of 9, your cognitive, maturing, social brain starts to mature, and you start to have to problem solve, and you start to have to really come into society and become part of society to improve, to survive, to live, to survive. Right. Sadly, some people don't have that, and they are mentally compromised. Yeah, but the vast majority of people, that's what happens round about the age of 9, 10, somewhere around there, prepubescent. Yeah. So if we treat the subconscious mind as a bright 9-year-old child, and we say, well, what does it want? Well, I want to play more. Well, what do you want to play at? I like going on computers, and I like making things move around and building things in a virtual world, and I like building theatres and putting things in the theatres and making things work. I know you're smiling because you know that's what I do. I go on Second Life and I build theatres.
You know me too well.
I'm actually currently, it's my hobby. It's my hobby. What I call a hobby project. I mean, if you can make a hobby project pay, you're doing it wrong, because then you're turning it into work. Yeah. Right. But if you say to your subconscious mind, what do you want? And you find that out by doing an exercise like we've just done, where I just let you ramble, let you go off, I mean, a good way of doing it is actually have a couple of drinks of that rum, you know, and relax.
No, we'll leave that for a couple of months, John.
But you know what I mean. But you know what I mean. If you can find
Yeah.
if you can find a space where you're nice and relaxed and you haven't got, you know, people will say to me, right, I'm doing my special day. Right, but I'm doing it at work in lunchtime. So you go, no bollocks to that.
No. You need to
get
relax.
in the car, go in the middle of Dartmoor, go to a cafe you've never been to before, where you know it's really nice and it's comfortable. You can chill and let your subconscious mind ramble. Let it ramble. Let it create. Let it say, well, I'd like this and I'd like that. You know. I know there's a school of thought that says that you should start with big goals, massive goals, impossible-looking goals. What I would say is do, for you especially, is do the creative stuff, you know, and make it look pretty, and you know. And,
well, I'm really love what I do,
and describe
what I do.
Yeah, I know you do.
I'm involved with
describe it that way.
Great stuff.
But if you love what you do and you're in the right place and your subconscious mind is still screaming, are we there yet? You need to ask it where it wants to go. Now we get to a compromise situation. Right, okay. Well, what do you want? Well, I'd like that, I'd like that, I'd like that, I'd like an ice cream and a rabbit and a cat. Can I have a cat? Well, now what would you do with a child? Yeah, you'd say,
we're nearly there.
Can't have a rabbit and a cat. Which one do you? Oh, I want the cat. I want the cat. Okay, let's go out and get the cat. Yeah. Can you see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Can you see what I'm saying? Now, people are told from about the age of 9 onwards, you know, and I'm using that as a rough figure. It's quite exact though. That's when other adult mature minds, other intellects instead of imagination, start telling you to stop talking to yourself.
Yeah, I actually took your advice, and I sat down before Christmas and I spoke to my subconscious mind and I asked some questions and I did get an answer. And you know, and it's there's no doubt about it that it works. Yeah, there's no doubt about it in my mind.
You're not mental or anything, because that's going on all the time.
Well, that's
your conscious intellect says I've got to ignore that distraction. But think about this: if your conscious and your subconscious processes are both focused on something, and that's, as we know from our mind style, that's not about what you're doing, it's about how you're doing what you're doing. Yeah?
Okay.
So if you're doing it in the way that fits, you're doing your work in a very creative way.
Fun.
Rather than a totally logical way.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Yeah. And you find the only distraction you've got is eating and sleeping. Yeah? Because once your subconscious and your conscious mind are in alignment, the rest of the world doesn't exist.
That's how it feels.
That wonderful state. You enter that wonderful hypnagogic, hypnopompic state that you get just before and just as you're coming out of sleep and just before sleep. And you get that state where time doesn't exist anymore. It's sort of like when I used to hypnotize, and I've done this tens of thousands of times. People used to say that stage hypnotists would do weird and wonderful things with your imagination on stage and then tell you to forget what's just happened. And that doesn't happen. Nobody does that. But there is a thing called time distortion. And when you bring somebody out of that subconscious state, because the subconscious mind's been in control and because the conscious mind's just been going along with it and working with it, they have no idea how long they've been hypnotized.
Right.
But I lost count of the number of times that I would say to somebody, after being on stage with me for 2 hours on stage and half an hour break, and they'd been there for 2.5 hours, you'd say, how long have you been on stage? And they'd look at you and say, I'll just come up. Because they had no conscious awareness of time passing.
Yeah. That actually does, my work feels like that. It really feels like that.
Okay. So it's not to do with your work then. So what do you want? Well, it's
Don't
not.
know.
It's not to do with your work, and you're doing your work there, okay? Right. So have a look at that list of those things that you just spieled off when you
Yeah.
really got going. And when I said to you, I kept saying, "What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?" You know. And
I want
there
to
was
pop
no
wheelies on a
specific
massive
thing.
motorcycle, John. I want to pop big wheelies, right?
And the why not
I
is,
think we'll end on that one.
and the you can't is.
The you can't is it's a bit dangerous, and I've got a daughter, and yeah, that's generally the you can't. But I think I'm just gonna have to do it anyway.
Hey, walking out the door is dangerous, mate.
That's exactly my attitude. But John, it's been an absolute joy. So what do people do then? Do they which book do they buy of yours to or what course do they take? Where have you got any resources you can
We're
like?
doing a new one.
Okay.
It's just coming out. It's just coming. This is mock-up, by the way.
Okay.
That's why it's got a blue spine. But we're doing a new one. It's called Subconscious Skills Success. And it's all about sub-skills. Sub-skills are the minor skills it takes to come up with a bigger skill. So, say in literacy, the sub-skills of literacy are things like reading, writing, grammar. In mathematics, the sub-skills of maths are, adding, subtracting, multiplying. Yeah.
Okay.
And the sub-skills of success are the little things you do to get what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you think of success, you think of infants, because every infant that survives infancy has been successful.
Very true. Very true.
Because like they've had to communicate without words in some way when they're hungry, when they're unhappy, when they're sore, when they're sad. Yeah, right. So these are things that are wired in, but we've been taught not to use them rather than being taught to use them.
Right. So it makes it basically, when you get it right, it makes work, life, balance, everything just easy, right? Smooth, calm, fun.
It's a game. It's a game.
Yeah.
Oh no, it gets exciting sometimes, and the old heart pounds, and just to finish, little story. I was teaching a class. I used to teach hypnosis. I don't anymore, but I used to teach remedial hypnosis, not therapy. I'm not a therapist, never have been. And I was teaching in class, and somebody started talking about panic attacks, and I said, right, okay, because we were talking about comfort zone, and I said, well, you can get excited inside your comfort zone. Yeah.
Yes, that's a good.
It's when excitement turns into fear that you've gone too far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But and we were talking about that, and they started talking about panic attacks. I said, right, so what am I describing here? Or breaking out into a sweat, body temperature rising, muscles tensing, heart starts to pound more, the breathing becomes short and laboured, your muscles begin to cramp and tense, and everybody put their hands up and said, panic attack, panic attack. I said, no, orgasm.
Oh dear, John.
Physiologically, they're exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, it's like an epileptic fit. It's almost an epileptic fit. It's a similar thing, except for you're not in control of it at all, right?
Well, I'm glad nobody's ever took a photo of me. But anyway,
I don't want to know, John.
No, you don't want that face.
Just one thing, just too far.
But yeah, we're bringing the new book out, Subconscious Skills. They can find us at subskillstraining.com.
Okay.
And if you can't remember that, then Jonathan Chase, look Jonathan Chase up anywhere. And apart from, what is it? A guitarist and a gay actor in America, you'll find me amongst the first few. If you do @Jonathan Chase on Twitter, @Jonathan Chase on LinkedIn, you'll find me.
Yeah.
Jonathan Chase 2 on Facebook, you'll find me. So
well, I'm gonna drop.
Yeah, and because this is a podcast and it hasn't come live, it's on Libsyn. but it's not on iTunes yet. But we've just started with my lovely partner, Jane. We've just started our own podcast, and it's called When No One Else Is Looking.
Oh, very good.
Because we talk about people when no one else is looking.
That's a very good idea. Well, John, it's been a joy. Thanks so much, and I'll drop everything into the show notes. I'll grab a few links and stuff and drop them into the show notes on this. But I'm going to put this video out there in a minute because it's good. People need to hear it.
Well,